lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Las Vegas Motor Speedway, tonight is race number 2 of the 2023 Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series. And we're anxiously awaiting to find out who will capture the checkered flag tonight in Las Vegas. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, where the desert isn't the only thing hot tonight surrounding this 1.5-mile racetrack. 2 weeks ago seems like a long time ago, but Mike Wright has been anxiously waiting for the chance to go back-to-back here in the Truck Series since he brought home the checkered flag in Daytona Beach. Now tonight we look to see who will roll the dice and bring home the win in the City of Sin. I'm Dave Regal here in the broadcast booth, and I would like to thank you for making Sim Racing Media a part of your evening, because I'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, as always, it's a joy to have you in with us tonight, as we are now on week number 2, of course, a little off week last week here in the Truck Series. Of course, week number 1, your winner was Mr. Mike Wright. Looking to see if he's out on track tonight, and it looks like he has not made it in yet. So that'll kind of shift things around. However, Sylvain Joly, he's out here just finishing up his qualifying run. as qualifying is underway. One of our neighbors from the north here in the 08 Accent Toyota Tundra. Then we look back here at Matt White from Stewartville, Minnesota. Strong run last night in the Xfinity Series. And I got to tell you, folks, last night was a thing of beauty in the Xfinity Series. The win was pretty well locked up. However, second and third position was where things were getting really tight in the a lot cleaner Xfinity Series. One of the cool things that we have here, of course, Zach Rinker being our winner last night. He doesn't run tonight here in the Truck Series, but one of the cool things about being able to cover all three series in the SNN family of racing is that, we get some kind of consistency across the board. We're able to see, Alex Murray running in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series, so on and so forth. And then at the same time, we get to see former Truck Series champions like this one, Robert Nestor, who just finished his qualifying effort here, netting P6, with his best time being a 30.42, just about 0.2 of a second off of Alex Murray. Tyler Connolly in the number 25 tied Toyota Tundra. He's out here trying to wrap things up, currently sitting P7. As things still shifting around, we can take a look here at our timing tower. And just as you look here at the timing tower, you got to keep in mind, this is absolutely, early on in the season, nothing to get worried about. As the Scarborough, Maine native, wow, didn't think I'd trip over that one, gets himself in a 30.32. And Mark Brewster just getting wound up here on his opening lap. Anyway, like I was just saying, being able to see these drivers going from Sunday to Tuesday, number one, that's a big commitment for anybody on iRacing. If there's any award for most dedicated drivers on the iRacing service, it has to be drivers like Chris Claude and John Crow Sr. Let's see, Tony Burt. Some of these drivers are driving across the three series. So, families, friends, girlfriends, wives, what have you, they're all having to sit there and basically put up with our crap as, we spend 2 and 3 nights either in the racing rig or in the broadcast booth. Me personally, I spend Sunday night driving in the Cup Series, and then Monday and Tuesday nights we get to hang out together. And when I say we get to hang out together, there's a distinct relationship between a broadcaster and his audience. And, for those of us that follow baseball's 162 games in a season. So after 162 games of maybe you've listened to 50 of those games, in total on the radio, you just spent 3 hours with a broadcaster on the radio or 3 hours with a broadcaster on television. You don't spend that kind of time with your family on Thanksgiving. And, it's always just kind of made me smile a little bit when you realize that. Now we're taking a look at Pensacola's very own Channing Ballou here in his number 42 Chevrolet Silverado Worldwide Express, right down the side here, as the young man out here trying to get it done. Quite a picture there for his driver information. Looks like either that was a wedding photo or something fancy, definitely fancier than where I've ever been. That's for darn sure. Lauren Jones from Joe Gibbs Racing. He's out here in his Cheetos number 11 Chevrolet Silverado. And, Lauren Jones did pretty well Sunday night, finishing 14th in the Cup Series. And last night had kind of a rough night in the Xfinity Series. So hopefully he can get himself back on track, as we'll take a look and see exactly where he might have finished last night, because I know that it wasn't great for him, as he had finished 30th and down 74 laps. So hopefully he can redeem himself tonight in the Truck Series. And, long story short, these Truck Series trucks are fun to drive. Now, he's showing the number 11 Cheetos Ford, but that is definitely a Silverado, as iRacing Timing and Scoring has him marked there. But he's about halfway through this opening lap, a little wiggle coming out of turn 2. These trucks are a lot more stable than the Cup or Xfinity cars. The Xfinity cars have a ton of torque at the rear end. The Cup cars are so dependent on that aero package that, throttle control is huge. But I'd be willing to bet a lot of these drivers are going to be able to hold it all but wide open. And we'll see if we can get a hold of one of those drivers here early on. In fact, we're going to get a hold of Mr. Jeff Carson, who's kind of a savant. Jeff Carson, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, bud.
Hey, listen, man, before you get underway here, take us through this truck setup. How is it getting around this track? How do you boogie around? Are you holding it wide open, or what do you got going on?
Well, you pretty much got to stay with the draft. You lose the draft, you're going to lose a lot of time. But at the same time, you got to save tires too, so you don't want to be flat out all the way around all the time. You want to lift here and there, but the key is not losing that draft.
Yeah, I mean, these trucks are very draft dependent. We saw that a lot in the Cup Series, with that aero package. And, I was just sitting here wondering, I wonder if you're spending more time holding that throttle open, or if you're still having to work that brake a little bit as we do in the Xfinity Series. So how are you feeling tonight coming into this race?
I'm hoping I did better than the Daytona race. I made it to stage 1, that Daytona race, so hopefully I can make it to the end of this race. Setup feels good, fast. Again, just trying to make it to the end.
All right, man. Well, listen, have a good run tonight, and good luck there with the Joe Gibbs Racing team. Of course, I know you're sitting in there with, Lauren and Bob and Chris, so good luck to you guys.
All right, thank you. You have fun up there in the broadcast booth tonight.
I always do, man.
All right, bud.
That, of course, was Jeff Carson. And, Jeff Carson is one of these drivers that, we get a chance to race together in the Cup Series on the same team on a Sunday night. And, for lack of a better term, he's just fun to hang out with. And I think that that's a lot about what we do on iRacing. A lot of us are just hanging out together. Yes, Mom, I know that I should spend time with my family on Thanksgiving. You're right. And I did last year, so relax. But anyway... It's always nice when you're sitting here on Facebook and YouTube.com. You never know who's going to pop into your live chat. And speaking of the live chat, folks, make sure that you subscribe, turn on those bell notifications to Sim Racing Media over on YouTube.com so you can be notified every time the SNN Family of Racing series goes live. And, of course, tonight we're also going to be simulcast on Facebook Live. So some interesting stuff going on. We're trying to spread our wings a little bit and get a wider audience. So you will start to see us on the Sim Racing Media Facebook page. But for tonight, we're sitting on my Facebook page, which isn't the end of the world. So welcome in, no matter where you're watching, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We just want to welcome you in here to Sunday Night NASCAR Truck Series Racing, sponsored by Jack Dowel Motorsports. And just as we get ready, we do want to step aside here and hear from our good friend, the Sunburn guy from up at Watkins Glen. Of course, a big thank you there to the Sunburn guy. We're going to hear from him a couple of more times throughout this season, as he's going to be our official Grand Marshal. As the command has been given for gentlemen to start your engines, qualifying has completed now, and it looks like Mr. Christopher Hill going to be our pole sitter tonight as we pull up the starting lineup here. A couple of Canadian entries. Of course, I also generally do see, let's see if he's out here tonight, from Buenos Aires, Mr. Eugenio Alonso. I do not see him yet. But let's get on down here to the track. As there we go. Just making sure that we can get everybody here on screen tonight, as we've got a pretty full boat. 34 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight. Starting off with Christopher M. Hill. He's going to be sitting on the inside pole position of row number 1 in the number 96 Toyota Supra in that I'm sorry, not Toyota Supra, but Tundra in that Logitech machine. Channing Ballou from Pensacola, Florida. He's going to be starting on the outside of row 1, so outside pole going to Ballou. Chris Mathis in the 54 going to be starting on the inside of row number 2 with Jeremy Paris to his outside. Alex Murray from Concord, North Carolina. I can just get, there we go. From Concord, North Carolina, going to be starting on the inside of row number 3, joined by Matt White from Stewartville, Minnesota. Kason Plott and Aaron Mack going to be making up row number 4. Aaron Mack out of Fort Riley, Texas. Sylvain Jolly and Claude Ferdland from north of the border going to make up row number 5. So a pair of Canadian entries here in row 5. Brandon Minto from Norman, Oklahoma, and Jeff Carson out of Cross Junction, Virginia, going to be making up row number 6 with Tyler Connolly and Stoney Banfield in row number 7. Row number 8 made up of John Crow Sr. and Jacob Sala in the number 37 Toyota Tundra. Of course, last night there I was calling Xfinity, so I'm used to saying Toyota Supra. It just kind of rolls off. But tonight we are Toyota Tundras. Ed Connolly and his Silverado going to be joined by the Tundra of Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series Commissioner, Mr. Chris Claude, the Fairview, Tennessee native in his traditional Dasani Water number 10 Toyota. Rich Jett and Eugenio Alonso, there he is out of Buenos Aires. He's going to be starting here in row number 11. Bob Nestor and the great Brian Tarnowski going to be starting row number 12 with Lauren Jones and Chris Custer, whose daughter is joining us right now in the YouTube.com live feed. So glad to have you with us, Lola. Then, of course, Matt Mackin and Mark Brewster are going to be making up row number 14, with row number 15 going to Tony Burt and Brandon Loomis. John Wilco and Tuesday Night NASCAR Truck Series Commissioner, Mr. John Bawalda III out of Bel Air, Maryland, and technically here in Pennsylvania in the trackbookings.com Chevrolet Silverado. When starting shotgun on the field, Mr. David Swift from Richmond, Kentucky, in his Ford F-150. So 34 drivers tonight going to be taking the green flag, and it's going to be 200 laps tonight altogether. Oh, no, wait, no, it's not. That is, that's the Phoenix race. You know, I did this last night, and now we started moving stuff around. So tonight we're going to be doing 134 laps, stage 1 going to end at lap number 30, and stage number 2 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 60. So at the beginning of 31 and the beginning of 61, they will be the conclusion of the stages. Drivers going to have 5 total sets of tires, laying down 4 on the asphalt tonight. So they'll have 4 changes, 5 sets. So tire wear probably not going to be that big of a factor, as they've got plenty of tires to go around. Nice cool evening here on the racetrack. As we'll pull up that weather, roll that beautiful bean footage. Right now, outdoor ambient air temperature 67 degrees with a track temperature of 67 degrees. So nice and grippy, but you know, there's that fine line between, is it grippy or is it slick? Because now it's at a point where maybe it's a little bit too grippy, or maybe it's a little bit too cool, and it's not going to take that rubber the way that it would if it was a little bit warmer. But right now, the iRacing.com pace car leading the field down the backstretch here. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out, which means that just as we come around through the turn 4 area, we should start to see the nose of that car come through here. And as you can see, folks, the man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in, because we are green flag racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And as they cross the start-finish line, we are under caution already, as Brian Tarnowski has had himself an incident here So not even one full lap complete, or just before that lap was completed. Looks like we're having an issue already. So definitely not something that we wanted to see early on tonight. But let's pull up that replay here. Of course, the all-important replay. We make it important in every other sport. And we're going to see Tarnowski right here in that blue and silver number 28 machine right in the middle of your screen. He just comes in here on those cold tires, brings the rear end around, and boom goes the dynamite as he just goes spinning down toward pit road. And we're going to see if we can maybe try to take a look here. And we'll take a look from the blimp cam as it just happened to be hovering above this particular wreck. The 06 checking up, and it looks like once again, bouncing that 8 right into Tony Burt. That's not a good start for Tony tonight, that's for sure. And, once again, there's Tony Burt just trying to log some laps and get things done here. And after such an exciting night at Daytona in the Xfinity Series, here he is kind of being a little slow. Kind of being slowed down. We'll see if we can get a hold of Tony Burt. Not sure if he is in the infield care center. Maybe we can get a hold of Mr. Tarnowski himself. Let's see if we can find Tarnowski. Maybe he's down here in the infield care center. Hey, Brian, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Hey, man, listen, kind of a rough start there for you. Were you bit by the cold tire bug?
Yeah. All of a sudden, the back started coming around, and I tried to check it without hitting anybody, and looks like I got into somebody. It was all my fault.
Well, listen, you don't got to take it all on yourself. I mean, it's cold tires. It's kind of a chilly racetrack, 67 degrees, but looks like you got yourself put back together, so go out there and get them, brother.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens from here on out, for sure.
All right, man. Well, you know me. I'm always up here watching. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you. Appreciate what you do, too.
That, of course, was Brian Tarnowski, just an absolute great racer out here, a good team player. And, I can't say enough good about him. He's had a rough couple of years after tragically losing his wife and to her battle with breast cancer. But we are always out here racing for Stacy, and there's not a time where the green flag drops that I don't think about that. It's very important that we remember that we're part of a community here on iRacing.com. But Christopher M. Hill going to be getting ready to take the green flag again, as he's going to be joined here with Channing Ballou, Chris Mathis, Alex Murray, Jeremy Paris, Kason Plott, Sylvain Joly, Matt White, Brandon Minto, and Aaron Mack make up your top 10. So it looks like we're going to try to do this all over again. We'll get here to our drone cam as we get ready to rock and roll. You see the iRacing.com pace car make that hard left turn, get behind the Pennzoil paint. We enter the Geico restart zone and get back underway here at Las Vegas. These trucks are not always designed to take off real fast. A lot of times we see the trucks looking like they get a slower start than everybody else, and that's just not the case more often than not. Right now, the 54 of Chris Mathis trying to get up right behind second place Channing Ballou. And, we talked to Jeff Carson before the race, and he was talking about the draft, and you can already see this front pack of trucks here, 5 in a row, all single file. And now that line is starting to get longer and longer as we're up to nearly 10 in a row. And right now, the side-by-side action brought to you by Claude Ferland and Aaron Mack. Aaron Mack in that dirt track bar 31 Chevrolet Silverado. He is now tucking himself right behind the 43 of Ferland. But Ferdland not satisfied to be where he was, kind of peeking to the inside of Minto. And, you almost have to remind yourself, hey, it's only lap 7. We're working our way toward lap number 30. So you don't need to be, trying to win it on lap 7. We see that and hear that so much. And right now, fastest lap on the books so far this evening belongs to Jacob Zala in the number 37 Toyota Tundra. You can see it right here in the middle of your screen, that black and yellow, mostly black, though, paint scheme. That looks tough right there. So if you're from Pittsburgh, that black and yellow should make your eyebrows go up just a little bit. But 8 laps complete so far, and now they're starting to battle it out. Once they can feel one another out, we see the 54 car of Chris Mathis. Looks like Case and Plot perhaps in the wrong paint scheme, but we'll try to keep in mind that he is the 8 car tonight, the 8 truck tonight, chasing down Alex Murray. So a lot of these drivers, something just happened with the 54's connection as he is blinking just a little bit. Folks, you do have to remember that, we are racing virtual trucks on a virtual racetrack, so darn near anything's possible. Of course, some connection issues here the last couple of weeks on Sim Racing Media for myself, and I think we've gotten that pretty much taken care of. As the 54 now losing ground to Matt White, as Matt decided to capitalize on that connection issue that the 54 was having. And now Matt getting the 48 all wound up. Last night kind of dressed up like 6-time champion Jimmy Johnson, back here in kind of a teal and black color scheme. It's kind of like a tough Miami-looking scheme, but here we are in the desert, getting it done. Claude Ferdland here working the low side of Chris Mathis. Of course, Claude here in the 43, trying to draft up right behind Brandon Minto. They're trying to get themselves linked up, and Ferdland almost needs a little bit of help, and maybe that'll come in the form of Tyler Connolly as he gets a little loose coming out of turn number 4. Right now, they are still fender to fender. The 25 is with the 95 of John Crow Sr. And the 31, gee, that was interesting. Let's take a look back here and see exactly what might have just happened between the 43 and the 54. Almost like they nearly made contact if they didn't actually make contact. We'll take a look right here. We'll go to the chopper cam because that was hovering just outside of where we were. You can see the 43 here in that ocean color with the 54, and he just comes down, and the 43 having that awareness to get down and hold that wheel steady, because I'll tell you what, if you get right there on that seam between the racing surface and the apron, that can really upset your racing machine. So glad to make sure that all things doing okay right now for the 54 and the 43. Folks, once again, welcome in as we're under caution. As soon as I look away from the screen, there's a surprise. Let's take a look back and see what might have happened here as everybody just checked up like crazy. And it looks like we've had an incident here with the 48 of Matt White. We'll take a look. And maybe we'll head right up onto the blimp. Hopefully that got a nice shot of it. We see the 37 trying to come in and challenge Matt White. Gives him just a little bit too much of a nudge in the turn, and it just turns Matt White. Fortunately, no major damage here to White, but everybody being forced to check up and kind of get around Mr. White here. Not sure if Matt White is related to Walter White. That'd be interesting. As that'll bring the 54 and the 48 down pit road. Maybe for a little early service, maybe trying to make sure that they can get to the end here with some fresh tires. We'll see exactly what happens with Matt White and the 54 of Chris Mathis. They're going to come in together. Looks like Matt White going to be getting at least 4 tires. I see the right front of that. Looks like the 54 only going to be getting, and now everything moving around. Looks like the 54 only getting some repair done. So Matt White with fresh tires, that's something I would be nervous about if I was the rest of these drivers. He's a talented guy. And, more often than not, we see that fresh tire brigade really bite some people in the butt. But Once again, just as I was starting to say before this caution came out, welcome into YouTube.com. You're watching Sim Racing Media. Leo Bonacasa, I see you up in here. A lot of activity. Glad to have all of you with us here on YouTube.com. Looks like Matt Miller here is cheering on Brandon Loomis in the 09 and the rest of the Black Bullet Racing team. Leo Bonacasa, always right here in my corner. I appreciate you, my brother. And listen, Leo, if you happen to be floating around Discord, let me know and bring you in for a chat, if you will. In fact, let's go up here and see if the Money House Racing crew has anybody around. Nope, not tonight. But, Leo, if you want to come hang out, let me know and hop on up. Looks like Alexander Gangler with us. The 82 had a non-repairable engine issue at the start of practice and was not able to attend qualifying. And that translates, folks, to the iRacing update broke something and he can't load into a session. So sometimes technology can be helpful and other times it can bite us right in our toes. Meanwhile, we've got Bob Brewster cheering on number 73, Mr. Brewster. I believe that's Mark Brewster, so I'm guessing brother, cousin, brother, Bob Brewster. And it looks like maybe we're going to see Alexander Gangler try to load into the session. You never know if he might make an appearance. It looks like he is out on track. Way back here in the 82. In that Tide machine. Let's see if we can get him right here. We don't want to miss you, Alex. Big Rock native in that Tide paint scheme. Kind of reminds me of DW from back in the day, or maybe some Ricky Rudd action. But, or Ricky Craven, I'm sorry, but Super 8 Motel there on the side of this Toyota Tundra. See if we can find Alexander. Next time we go under caution, we'll try to catch up with him, of course. Right now, it's all about Christopher M. Hill yet again as the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means we'll be going back green flag racing here. You know, there's a lot of drivers right now kind of laying back, and we'll see. There's a lot of gaps here. These drivers would probably do well to get themselves tightened up so that when that draft comes into play, they can be closer and tucked up into one another. Right now, our biggest mover of the night, biggest movers of the night, Jacob Sala up 11 positions, running in 5th right now. Brandon Loomis up 11 positions, running in 21st. And John Bawaldo III up 11 positions, and he's running in 23rd. Biggest movers in the wrong direction right now. Matt White down 22 positions, and Chris Mathis still out here logging laps, down 29 positions. So some drivers going with their arrow in the up arrow really well, and other not so much. But, you know, it's a long race. We're only 16 laps in. We've got about 15 laps to go here in stage 1 at Las Vegas. And just as we're going to see that iRacing.com pace car make the hard left down pit road, Christopher M. Hill going to have the control of the field, his foot hovering just above the throttle. He drops the hammer, and we're back underway. Never mind. I'm sorry, Becky Brewster. I couldn't, of course, here in my peripheral vision, I read Bob instead of Beck Brewster, but my sincerest of apologies. Welcome in on Facebook. Looks like I've got a viewer over here, too. A couple of comments. Let me know who's watching, what's going on. Glad to have everybody with us tonight, both on YouTube and Facebook, as you're going to see a lot more of that here from Sim Racing Media. 18 laps of 134 in the Jack Dowel Motorsports Tuesday Night NASCAR Truck Series. Of course, this is the finale of this week here in Las Vegas. We've had some exciting racing all week long, from the Cup Series all the way down here to the Truck Series. And, I shouldn't even say down here to the Truck Series, because these drivers, just as talented as any other level on iRacing, many of them an A-class driver themselves, and they're here in these trucks because I'll tell you what, these trucks are a lot of fun to race. That's what keeps people coming back to these Truck Series races time and time again is the 40 getting into the back of the 37. Alex Murray just giving a little shove to Jacob Sala, and that gives Sala enough energy to get right alongside of Jeremy Paris. They're now fender to fender coming across the start-finish line right now, and it looks like this time Paris is going to be scored there in the 5th position. And you got to remember, with now 10 laps to go here in stage number 1, these drivers are out here fighting for stage points. You know, stage points here in these series are incredibly important. And of course, they are scored 10 points to the winner of the stage, all the way down to 1 point, 1 bonus point that is, to the 10th place driver. Wow, as we're getting loose coming out of 4. That's a common trouble spot here, as we can maybe try to go back a little bit further. But you're going to see a lot of drivers here, including David Swift getting a little loose coming out of 4. He's got Matt Mackin just behind him. And it's Matt Mackin also in the wrong numbered truck tonight. So we're going to have to get with him, but you'll have to forgive. So we've got a pair of 8s out on track, and one of them is supposed to be the 01 of Matt Mackin. But Mackin working the low side of Chris Mathis. He makes it look just that easy. And believe me, in these trucks, it's definitely not that easy, as he gets that Silverado around the F-150 of David Swift. A lot of close racing on the track yet right now, as we can see going up here through the field. Basically everybody within 0.2 of a second, especially right here with, once again, Alex Murray trying to hold off Jeremy Paris. And we see Paris trying to look for a way around Alex Murray. And if there's anybody out here who's going to be hitting his marks consistently, it's going to be Alex Murray. And speaking of consistency, let's take a look back here at Mr. Consistency himself. Where is that old Sly Fox driver of the number 10 Toyota Tundra, Chris Claude? He is officially our SNN Family of Racing Network Mr. Consistency, as Chris, you know, week after week, he will hold that line. You'll always know where Chris is going to be once he runs a couple of laps and gets that truck dialed into where he's comfortable. And, you know, although that he's running in 20th position right now, I wouldn't be afraid to still put my money on making sure he gets up in nearly a top 10, top 15 position at the end of this race. And speaking of commissioners, John Bawalda looking almost to make this 3 wide, as he's, wow, trying to parallel park the 51 between Chris Claude and the 80 of Dan Morgan. John Bawalda holding his own, and he's got teammates Chris Claude and Lauren Jones just behind him as they are side by side. And getting ready to make it 3 wide yet again is Chris Mathis, and Lauren Jones just closes the door and finally takes that wind from the nose of the 54. Maybe a little bit of a crinkle-dinkle there on the 54 from earlier, but he's still able to push Lauren here down the backstretch, and Lauren more than happy to take that air from him here on lap number 25 of 134. Running a lot of good times tonight. In fact, let's see what everybody's running recently here. About a 30.833 from Christopher Hill atop the pile. And that was his last lap. His fastest lap is 30.49. So not a whole lot of fall off from the beginning of this race to now. 0.4 of a second is nothing when you consider 26 laps on these tires. But again, you know, not a lot of heat in this asphalt. So it's not really going to cheese grate these tires that much, which is not a bad thing, that's for darn sure. So we see Channing Ballou here chasing down Christopher Hill, and you're on lap 27. Now you start to wonder to yourself, you try to make the move and go for that green and white checkered flag, as we do see Tony Burt, driver of the number 4 here, holding his line. He doesn't have to give that up. He can hold his line, and I'll tell you what, we'll see what's going on back here. Maybe a little kerfuffle. Let's see what exactly might have just gone on here. Oh, wow. Yeah, some exciting action here, as the 51 of John Bawalda getting into the 80 of Dan Morgan. Everybody checking up, but since we continued facing forward, We don't get that caution lap, which is fine. But now just 2 laps to go here as Christopher Hill and Channing Ballou battling it out for the lead here on the final couple of laps of stage number 1. I gotta believe that Ballou is going to be working that wheel so hard right now, chasing down Hill. And he's looking for an opening. And, you know, just like Jeff Carson was saying earlier, these trucks are very dependent on the draft here at Las Vegas. Without some help behind him, I'm afraid Channing Ballou may have to settle for a bridesmaid position here. Of course, just as I say that, he's starting to peek to the inside. He's looking for a run here on Christopher Hill. But there's just too much of a gap. I'm afraid he can't drag off of that. Oh, close, but no cigar as we come across the start-finish line. So Christopher Hill going to be your stage number 1 winner. We'll get him into the broadcast booth momentarily, followed by Channing Ballou, Kason Plott, Jeremy Paris, Jacob Sala, Alex Murray, Brandon Minto, Matt White, Tyler Connolly, and Claude Furland. So congratulations to Christopher Hill, who brings home the checkered flag in stage number 1. We'll see if we can find him. And of course not. Gonna double check here. Of course, here I am trying to find him in our race radio. And it never fails. As soon as I start looking for someone specific, no dice. But meanwhile, it's gonna be wholesale pit stops here as they bring it on down pit road. Out comes the 80 who was there getting some early pit service, trying not to lose another lap here. And everybody's splitting out, and it's time to get some fresh tires, a tank of Go Fast here, maybe a sip of the water bottle. Bob Nestor barreling down pit road himself. All of a sudden, he is gaining all kinds of positions. Bob Nestor coming off of pit road, what should be first off of pit road. We'll see once everybody gets themselves wrapped back up here. But right now, Bob Nestor looking pretty healthy here. See if we can find where the 09 is. Well, the 09 of Brandon Loomis, I'm not sure if he came down. I'm pretty sure he didn't. So let's see if we can get Mr. Nestor. Bob Nestor, Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
What are you doing sitting up here? What is that? Did you somehow?
I missed it.
Oh, I was
Well,
really
there's too many trucks around. I was like, wait, is that me? Is that me? And then it was too late.
I just looked down and I said, hey, Bob Nestor's suddenly rolling off a pit road. All right, listen, I don't want to distract you. You get down there and get those for Mr. Feelgoods.
All right, man, thanks.
Bob Nestor, of course, one of the Jedi Knights of the SNN Truck Series for myself, as he kind of brought me into this sport. I would say kicking and screaming, and it was nearly that way, as it looks like Brandon Loomis thinking he's going to stay out here. Looks like he thinks he can. And I'm looking to see where the pace car is. As the Milan, Illinois native still sitting atop the pile. This is kind of an interesting development. It looks like he didn't come down. And like I said before, do not see Mr. Loomis here, of course, either. So everybody I want to talk to at the drop of a hat doesn't seem to be available. However, let's get a hold of Mr. Gangler. Hey, Alex, it's David up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Hey, better late than never, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I mean, it's a little, what happened in the beginning was out of our control, and at this point now we might as well just steal some points if something happens to the guys in front of us. We can't work our way back or our way further back, so.
No, but you know, a little bit of patience can go a long way. You and I have discovered that more than once out here on the track with these drivers. I got pretty excited there for a minute, though. I thought Bob just came out of the pits P1, and turns out he had missed his stop. A lot of excitement tonight, but you just seem to be out there logging laps, brother.
That's exactly what I'm doing. And I thought I was going to get one of my laps back, but then one of the cars must have stayed out or something. I'm not quite sure, but we weren't able to, so we might as well took tires.
Yeah, for some reason that was Brandon Loomis, and not sure why he didn't come down, but if I were you, I'd be careful as that inside line might get stacked up by him. All right, brother man, listen, have a good rest of your race, and get ready for the green flag. Getting a chance here to talk to several drivers tonight, something that we didn't get to do a whole lot last night, and, you know, trying to do a little bit better with that, folks, as so many of you want to hear from your friends and family. Naughty XLX Wolf Gaming says that they wish that they were out here with their Black Bullet team tonight. So wishing good luck to the teammates here on track. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out once again. There's a surprise, but I'll tell you what, if Brandon Loomis didn't come down pit road, this is going to be an interesting restart. Because we might see him just get this field all kinds of stacked up. As he's got to work not to spin the tires, and oh my. Definitely a slower than usual start. The 42 all but eating bumper of the 09. And now the 40 of Alex Murray coming in to join the dance. The 42 wedging the 09 out of the way. They're now 3 wide behind the 09. That's dangerous. Now we go 3 wide. The 96 getting upset. The 09 just driving in reverse. Bad things are going to happen here, folks, if the 09 doesn't get out of the way. That's for darn sure. We go back here to Brandon Loomis as now he's driving basically in reverse. Can you imagine going in reverse at 160 miles per hour? Oh, and we're under caution. So that might affect him at least a little bit. Looks like maybe Lauren Jones having himself another rough moment here. Let's take a look back and see. Not sure what happened with Lauren, but he may have lost some kind of a connection because I definitely could not find him out on track, but we see he's back underway now. Might be a little quickie caution here. Nobody really being a taker down pit road. I still can't believe Brandon Loomis hasn't come down. Not trying to share too many of my opinions, but if I was him, I would be diving hysterically toward... See, right there, on your left, Nope. Okay. Just kidding. Keep on going. Good luck, sir. Go with God. Don't take any wooden nickels. Going to be a rough night for the 09. As he is up here in the Hornet's nest in the top 10. Channing Ballou, Christopher Hill, Alex Murray, Jeremy Paris, Mr. Loomis himself, Kason Plott, Jacob Zala, Matt White, Brandon Minto, and Tyler Connolly. Rounding out your top 10. Looks like Tony Burke going to be getting his lap back. Let's see if that pace truck has its lights on yet. It does. We're going to go see Tony Burke. Hey, Tony, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Got you, man. How are you?
Look at you. Listen, I'm great as soon as I get to hear your smiling voice. Listen, look at you getting your lap back. Are you just about on the lead lap now?
Yeah, I'm on lead lap now. Yep.
All right. You know,
yeah, I got caught up in that very first wreck.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, listen, I was just trying to get a little bit of insight here. Do you know what happened with Lauren? Because his car disappeared.
He had a packet issue.
Oh,
he's
my
trying
goodness.
he's came back in and been kicked out a couple of times. He's trying to get his internet going.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, that happens. I mean, he's down there in Florida, and I mean, Florida's good for a lot of things, but maybe not internet service.
That's right. Did
All
you
right.
hear? Did you get my news about our little commercial we're gonna have?
No, I got bits and pieces of it. Do you want to use that as a teaser? Folks, we may be hearing from someone pretty important in the NASCAR world in the next couple of weeks.
Haley Deegan has agreed to do a little commercial spot for us, like a 10-second spot, and I think AJ Allmendinger also. So talked to both of them yesterday.
Oh, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to extend our gratitude. I mean, I would tell them myself, but you're the guy with the connection, not me. So extend our gratitude.
Haley's connection. Her boyfriend actually races in the Xfinity Series with us.
Yeah, I just found that out. Well, yeah, I think you was it you that messaged me? Yeah. I don't know. As soon as I read that last night, by the time I was done, buddy, I was beat.
I bet.
But,
I bet.
All right, man. Well, listen, get back there, get racing, hit those marks, and bring it home.
Trying to stay in the top position here in the truck race, but it's going to be tough. In the truck standings, but it's going to be tough.
All right, brother. Listen, go with God. God bless you, and I will see you on the other side.
Amen, brother. Great talking to you. Thanks.
That's the great Tony Burt. Just an all-around great guy. Obviously, slightly connected. Maybe a little name drop there from a boy. As Pace Car Light's still on, so obviously trying to get some people around. Let's get a hold of... where's he at? I just lost him. There we go. Let's get a hold of Chief Cook and Bottle Washer John Bawalda here in the Jack Dowel Motorsports Sunday Night NASCAR Truck Series. John, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's
Hey,
going
man,
on, brother?
real quick before the iRacing.com pace car lights go out, how you feeling tonight back there in the 51? You're running in 29th, up 5 positions.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I got some new racing seats. I'm got this NASCAR chassis that I'm turning laps in. I got some new seats that came in the mail today, and I didn't get a single lap in practice. Didn't get a single lap. I didn't put a qual lap down or anything. Was cutting steel, welding, drilling holes, and more welding all the way up until 3 minutes left of the qual lap. I jumped in to grid with the wrong setup, and luckily I was able to switch it out before we took the flag. So I'm back here in the back, just trying to stay safe and make my way up front. But at first I was just trying to learn the setup, because I wasn't sure what it is I even had for this evening. So it's been fun, it's been scary, but yeah.
Well, you've got good old Bob Nestor right there behind you diagonally, so at least you don't have to worry about getting beat to death there by him. But you're definitely a little bit of a hornet's nest here toward the end of the field, so good luck as we get ready to bring it through turn 4 here and watch the green flag drop again.
All right, brother. It was good talking to you.
As always, it's good talking to you. And, of course, John, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer here in the Jack Dowel Motorsports TNN Truck Series, and glad to have him as part of this group because, without him and, his expertise, the simulators that he builds, we wouldn't be here tonight. And, folks, if you ever get a chance, check out Jack Dowel Motorsports over on Facebook. They have some of the coolest stuff. I mean, when he says the NASCAR chassis, it's like a quarter size. I'm fairly certain it's quarter size. NASCAR chassis. He's got the 48. He's got a couple of them. But just an absolutely great guy. We got a chance last year to go to Dover Motor Speedway together, and actually with Bob Nestor. Had an absolute blast. Just a cool guy to hang out with for the day. And, we were kind of laughing. Bob seemed to try to explain to him that I'm a food guy. I don't like to be called a foodie. I'm more like being called a fatty, I guess. But he thought Bob was being sarcastic when I said that I could house pretty much anything at the Waffle House that we had stopped in Delaware on the way to Dover Motor Speedway. And instead, he looked at me with a face that just said, "I'm ashamed of you as a human," as I housed some Waffle House food. Including a couple of plates of bacon, which, my personally favorite breakfast meat. And wow, speaking of meat, 3 wide, the 09 is the meat, as Brandon Loomis is still driving backwards here. At this point, he's more of a landmine and hoping nobody catches him. He would do well right now to either get low or high and stay there, as now he's even got some connection issues. But meanwhile, we're single file up here atop the way. So a lot going on here tonight on the racetrack. Channing Ballou, Christopher Hill, Alex Murray, Jeremy Paris, Kason Platt, Matt White, Jacob Sala, Brandon Minto, Sylvain Jolly, and Eugenio Alonso. Your top 10, of course, Eugenio, always a factor in any race that we run here. So you got to keep an eye on Eugenio, always. But right now, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling. With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway as we're in the Jack Dowel eSports Simulators iRacing.com Truck Series race. 53 laps of 134 complete. Right now taking a look at Brandon Minto here in that U.S. Air Force number 12 Chevrolet Silverado. He is just behind Matt White, who has drafted all the way up to the rear end of Alex Murray. They're separated by less than a tenth of a second, but even closer, Jeremy Paris As we're taking a look from high above the racetrack here in the 05, Jeremy Paris in that primer gray machine. He's trying to get a push right now from Case and Plot here in the 8 Lucas Oil Silverado. So as we've got about 7 laps to go here, 6 laps to go here, I'm sorry. Simple math, simple problems, simple guy. But about 6 laps to go, and they're just starting to get close now. And I'll tell you what, if Channing Ballou gives up any kind of room here, he's going to wind up losing this lead. As Christopher Hill had, of course, won the first stage, and now he's here in second position in stage 2. Obviously, we've had a lead change. That 96 Logitech Toyota Tundra trying to chase down the Silverado of Ballou. First Ford in the field, not until we get all the way back here to Eugenio Alonso out of Buenos Aires. And just behind him, door to door, was the 95 and the 08 of John Crow Sr. and Sylvain Jolly. As Jeff Carson looking to get in on the dance over Sylvain. As Sylvain trying to hold his own, but Carson has now gotten himself into 13th position, still down 1 from where he had qualified, but out here turning laps and getting it done. Meanwhile, we look a little bit further back through the field. Rich Jett, of course, driving that Royal Farms 777. The double natural bringing himself out of turn number 4. Of course, it's probably appropriate to be here in Las Vegas with the double natural here on the side of your Godzilla machine. Chris Claude running in 17th, up 1 position, but right now our biggest mover of the night belongs to John Bawalda in the trackbookings.com number 51 Chevrolet Silverado. A lot of Chevys, a lot of Toyotas, not so many Fords. In fact, there's only 5 Fords in the field tonight. Everybody else is Toyota or Chevy, which is kind of interesting. Matt Mackin in the Bud truck. Looks like he's getting ready to haul a case of beer here right on past. Wow! John Bawalda, as Bawalda just drops down and cut off the nose of Mackin. As we're on lap 58 now, and even closer gets Christopher Hill as he drafted right up to the rear bumper, nearly kissed that rear bumper of Channing Ballou as they come out of turn 4, getting ready to cross for lap number 59. Like I said, folks, things are about to get hot and heavy as we see these drivers coming on through turns 1 and 2. See if we can get maybe a little bit better of a shot here. A little bit wider so we can see that gap opening and closing here on lap number 59. And once Ballou comes out of turn 4, he's going to be looking at the white flag for stage number 2. Here on lap number 60, the white flag waves, and we're going to be racing back to that green and white checkered flag. Keeping a close eye on the 96 as the 42 gets a little tight in turn 2. That opens the door for the 96 to see if he can get a run on him. It's possible. It's probable. And as we dive into turn 3, suddenly they're window net to window net here, coming through turn 3, and all that's left is Tony Burt in the way. And almost able to get through there is the 96, but as they cross the start-finish line, your Stage 2 winner going to be Channing Ballou, followed by Christopher Hill, Jeremy Paris, Alex Murray, Case and Plot, Matt White, Brandon Minto, Chris Mathis, Jacob Zala, and Eugenio Alonso, your top 10. So Channing Ballou going to be getting 10 bonus points here. Christopher Hill going to be getting 9, Jeremy Paris 8, and so on. Back to the lonely bonus point of Eugenio Alonso. We'll see if we can find Channing Ballou, as we've had some bad luck trying to get a hold of people in our Discord channel here. I don't see him, but hey, listen, Lola, this is your lucky moment here. Is I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody else, but we're gonna get a hold of Chris Custer here. Hey, Chris, it's Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? We'll wait for him to get here into his pit box. Hey, Chris Custer, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Well, not sure what's going on with Chris. Have to stand by, folks. Chris Custer from that Black Bullet Racing team, not able to hear me, I guess, here in Discord. Chris, can you hear me? Well, unfortunately, I guess not. I'll have to send him back on up there. Well, folks, I keep drawing up the short straw every time I'm trying to get a hold of someone here. If maybe we can find Alex Murray. There we go. Hey, Alex, it's Dave up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, listen, not for nothing. I'm not saying that you weren't my first choice, but every time I try to get a hold of somebody here in Discord, nobody's answering a phone. I just tried to get a hold. I just tried to get a hold of Chris Custer. He didn't answer. Nobody else is in Discord. So, listen, how are things feeling for you here in the 40? You were battling it out pretty hard here in stage 2.
I mean, still working on the truck. A little bit tight there from the start of the race to now, so hopefully these adjustments help and we can be there at the end when it counts. I mean, I think if we get a long run, we're better than the guys in front of us, but you know, started reeling them in toward the end of that run and stage came out, so we got a little bit longer of a run here. We'll have about 69 laps, 68 laps of green racing, so hopefully green racing. So hopefully we can end up in victory lane at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, I hear the race chatter going on. We're gonna have to peel the curtain back here. Can you just let them know that I couldn't hear them talking in Discord?
Yeah, I'll let them know, and hopefully they'll get back with you.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate you. Concord, North Carolina appreciates you, and listen, go out there and fight for that checkered flag here in stage 3.
We're gonna try.
As always. And, you know, Alex Murray is one of those drivers that we see continually, folks, out here battling week after week. And, you know, just glad to have him out here. Of course, we had to peel the curtain back just a little bit. We'll have to try to get with these guys in a little bit because I do feel bad not being able to talk to them. But Lola, listen, if you're near your dad, just let him know that, all he has to do is talk. Something going on here with our stream. Not sure what YouTube's problem is tonight. Everything looks fine on this end. But right now, the iRacing.com pace car bringing the cars back down on the backstretch here. So we're going to get settled in here for the remainder of this race. Just going to be under 70 laps to go once we come to the start-finish line, as Christopher Hill and Channing Ballou going to be up here on the front row. They're going to be joined with Alex Murray, Jeremy Paris, Brandon Minto, Kason Plott, Eugenio Alonso, Chris Mathis, Jeff Carson, and Sylvain Jolly rounding out your top 10. But here we go, folks. Stage number 3 getting ready to rock and roll. We enter the Geico restart zone. The 42 drops his foot to the floor, and we get moving right here again in Sin City. Pretty clean restart after everybody came down pit road with the exception of Brandon Loomis yet again, who's on a completely different planet when it comes to pit strategy. Looks like he last came down on lap 47, so curious to see what Loomis is going to be doing. Everybody else coming in between laps 61 and 63 during that particular cycle. Of course, we also see Lauren Jones here buried pretty deep back in the pack as he was having some connection issues, as that will happen. But 68 laps complete here. Just a few more until we start really counting down. Channing Ballou, your race leader, he's up here in their single file right back here to the 54 of Chris Mathis, who's side by side with Eugenio Alonso. Eugenio not about to give up any spaces. He's looking for a little bit of help, and that help may come in the form of Jeff Carson. As Carson was riding the low line for a little while earlier on in this race, he's now fallen in lockstep with John Crow Sr. and Tyler Connolly. They have now formed themselves a little three-truck pack here, and it looks like Carson frustratedly is trying to get behind the 25 of Tyler Connolly, maybe to give Connolly a little bit of a bump here to try to push him up to Eugenio, and Eugenio hitting his marks, doing the very best that he can. And Matt Mackin maybe having some connection issues here. And a little taste of the real world here, even though that we're sitting here in virtual iRacing land. We've got at my day job, we've got staff meeting tomorrow, and there's always some kind of, talking point that we got to bring up. And I'll throw this out to you folks here on YouTube and Facebook.com. If you were on a game show and you won a lifetime supply of one snack food of your choosing, what would that snack food be? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you know what? I'm a vicious consumer of the Tasty Cakes. Of course, you can check that out on the number 8 Chevrolet or Toyota Camry that I drive every Sunday night. Of course, the Love Stories with Murph Toyota Camry. Also have Tasty Cake down the side, Wawa. But so if there was going to be a snack food I'd want, it would be Tasty Cakes. Of course, that's kind of a regional thing. But Lola, thanks for hanging out and have a good day at school tomorrow. Glad to have everybody with us tonight here on YouTube.com. Looks like our connection issue got fixed there. Of course, once again, we're always dealing with connection issues. And glad to have you with us on Facebook as well. Let us know who's watching and who you're pulling for. And again, if you had a lifetime supply of one snack food, what would that snack food be if you were on a game show and that was your game show prize? Right now, Channing Ballou, he's here in the 54, trying to work the high side, but he's got no help up there. He's got to fall back in line before Christopher Hill just runs him right on over and he gets hung out to dry. So obviously Mathis deciding against trying to run that high side. Maybe he was just having a moment of tightness, if you will, but has now gotten himself back in line behind Channing Ballou. And folks, with 74 laps in, we are going to step aside and let you folks turn it up here on Sim Racing Media.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Well, folks, we got to come back from commercial early, as you just saw here. All kinds of mayhem just unloaded on this track. And we're going to take a look and see what happened from the point of view of Mr. Jeff Carson, as, my goodness, that was not what we wanted to see in the middle of that break there. We'll take a look. We're going to see the 9 car here just behind the 95 and the 25, and it just looks like he gets a little bit of a love tap from the 86 and just upsets himself. At the same time, we saw the 5 car, the 05 car that is, of Jeremy Paris. He just went butt over tin cups here. We see the 05 right behind the 8. And not sure what might have caused this, as he made a little bit of contact with Alex Murray, as Alex just gets him out of the way, and that starts the chain reaction. In fact, we're going to look at that from his cockpit yet, and we'll see exactly how that looked from the helmet cam here of Jeremy Paris. You see Jeremy rolling out of turn 2. We can see just here on the left-hand side Alex Murray, and just as Alex Murray gets out of his field of vision, all kind of mayhem just breaks loose, and my goodness, you can see his hands just fighting that wheel, and now he's trying to get that truck restarted and just barely gets it moving again. So that will put us under yet another caution this evening, with Channing Ballou atop the pile here on lap number 88. Still can't make it on fuel at this point. So the question becomes, do you come down now and try to maybe just take a splash later, or do you take a splash now and a full tank later? And as we stand now, no takers yet on pit road from the lead lap. Big shout out to Kenny Hunt here. Of course, our Grand Marshal of the race this evening, the Sunburn Man. And you know what? It's always neat when we get to do something a little bit different. And again, you know, the SNN family of racing that we have here on Sim Racing Media, is just a special group of guys. It started with just the Cup Series, being broadcast. And then, of course, last year, the Xfinity Series became broadcasted over on the Independence Racing Network. And, of course, I have since put the Independence Racing Network on the back shelf. And we've gotten that broadcast funneled in here to Sim Racing Media. And Burnt Rubber Media was carrying the truck series last year, and now we've managed to get everybody here on the same page on Sim Racing Media, and we could not be happier because, like I said, it allows us to build a relationship with you folks watching at home here on YouTube.com. Glad to have all of you in with us. We've had a lot of folks tonight, and pretty good view numbers, as there's 26 of you watching right now, a total of 86 overall, and you know, to me, that's just an exciting thing. I mean, you know, you might think that's really not a whole lot of people, but in YouTube numbers, especially in live feeds for such a niche sport like we have here on iRacing.com, that's a pretty good number to carry. And I expect to see that number climbing as you folks, hopefully at home, are mashing that subscribe button, turning on those bell notifications, and joining us week after week. Because, you know, I got to be honest, you know, we start to build a rapport together. And realistically, that's a broadcaster and a listener or a viewer relationship, and that's something that we want to continue to build here on Sim Racing Media, as so many of us, you know, take our leagues, you know, to heart. You know, these are becoming friends and family, and like I had mentioned earlier, you know, Bob Nestor is who got me into this sport a couple of years ago, and I can't be thankful enough because some of the people that I've met through iRacing, like my brother from another mother, Mr. Tony Trapasso, and of course Frank Marchese here at Sim Racing Media, James Riles and Jonathan, you know, have just all been so great to get to know over the last couple of years, and glad to call them friends, and even more glad to call them brother in many instances. So get this gap time up here as we're going to get ready to go back green flag racing. Channing Ballou going to have control of the field here on the inside in the 42. He hits the Geico restart zone, drops the hammer, and we're back racing on lap number 91. And just as we were a few minutes ago, we're going to try to get some bills paid here on Sim Racing Media. And we're back under caution again here on lap number 92. We're going to watch Chris Custer right here in the middle in the 18 machine. Not sure what we're going to see yet. All I saw was mayhem ensuing from ahead of him, and although I hate to do this one, we almost have to try to find where that cause was. Looks like we may be involving teammate here. Let's see. Oh, I think I hear Tony Burt's voice. Let's see what happened here. Ah, no, the 18 just spun right across the front of Bob Nestor. Something was going on in front of him with the 46. Looks like the 46 was stepping out. That's Ed Connolly here. We can see Ed Connolly getting loose but keeping it forward, and maybe the checkup from behind him is what caused this mess, as unfortunately that's not going to be good for the 18 of Chris Custer. And we'll see what happened with Custer here. And we can see Chris Custer, who his daughter, oh, it almost looked like the 18 had just snapped around on him. That could have been a hardware issue. Got to be honest, the way that truck just kind of, let's see if we can go to the chopper cam and see if we can just get a little bit better of a view here. Watch that 18 machine. Almost looks like I said, yeah, something snapped in that. Maybe the cold tire bug, but he comes across the nose of Bob Nestor and just spins helplessly down toward the entry to pit road. So with about 40 laps to go of 134, we are under caution. I don't see anybody coming down yet as they were just in on lap 87. Aaron Mack coming down on lap 92. So maybe he knows something that everybody else doesn't. We'll have to find out. Now we'll see if we can get a hold of Chris Custer. Let's see here. We'll get that Black Bullet Racing channel lined up. Chris Custer, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. Not sure if you can hear me. Hit your race radio and let me know if you can hear me. No, and unfortunately, it looks like Chris can't hear us yet again, so we'll have to send him on back up there. Maybe we can get the perspective of Bob Nestor. Hey, Bob, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, what happened with Custer there rolling across your front bumper?
I don't know. He pushed it a little too hard with the cold tires. I tried to brake, figured he was going to either go up or down, and he kind of was just right there. So,
yeah, it looked kind of rough, and we every time we try to get a hold of Chris Custer or anybody else from Black Bullet, we can't hear them. But
yeah,
or maybe
Chris doesn't have a mic, so.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Good to know.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I just got all the damage fixed, so we'll see how the truck runs.
Yeah, it's a little crinkled up there, but Tom's still chasing, or Jerry's still chasing Tom, or Tom's still chasing Jerry around. But
yeah, right.
But listen, you get up there and you go ahead and chase down Gabriel Lafreniere and give our neighbor to the north a little bit of a hard time, huh?
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right. It's Bob Nestor, of course, the Jedi Master of all that is iRacing here. At least for my money, he's our Jedi Master. At least mine for sure. He was my spotter during the Daytona 500 back in week 1 of our Cup Series. And, there are times where you think, I got this. I don't need no stinking spotter. But you know what? There's something to be said for having somebody in your ear, encouraging you, be patient, stay where you are, so on and so forth. And it just really helps, to have that encouragement in your ear. And it looks like Beck Brewster in here, if she's going to be truthful, she's into Tito's, not Cheetos. So, listen, I got to be honest, Beck, I've never had Tito's vodka. I'm not usually a vodka guy. I just started, dipping my toe in there. I'm usually a bourbon fella. So you can always send your bourbon donations to the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth, Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, zip code number OU812, as looks like the 96 VRS machine of Christopher M. Hill trying to chase down Channing Ballou. But, I've never been a Tito's vodka person, like I was just saying, and I guess it's just something that I've never really crested. And, maybe as I develop that taste, it'll come in for me. Kind of like a set of tires out here on the racetrack. And here we are under caution. And it looks like Tony Burt may have been involved this time around. We'll take a look. Oh! Tony Burt just got launched into the oblivion. My goodness. I guess there's some folks that forget that these are trucks, not space shuttles here. As my goodness, Tony he got himself one heck of a run, and here he is spinning. Thank goodness this isn't real life racing, because the trip to the infield care center would be a lot longer after that kind of, he would definitely be on his way to the hospital. As far as I'm concerned, we'll take one more look at it from here in the cockpit. And we see him getting the run here, and he thought he had it, and I really thought he did too. But Heather Burt, if you're watching, I'm just saying Tony might need some ice after this one, because that looks like it was pretty wild. So with about 35 laps to go, we're under caution yet again here. That's definitely a new Aero model. Let's see if we can get a hold of Tony, because I'm sure by now he's at the infield care center. Let's see here. Tony Burt. There he is.
Me.
Hey, Tony, it's Dave. I hate to interrupt you, but are you at the infield care center?
I just got out the moon, man.
My goodness. I just said to our fans here and our friends here in the YouTube and Facebook feeds, Heather might need to be bringing you some ice after that flip.
Yeah, this has been a bad race, man. I got caught up in that stuff on the very first lap, and then it's just been underpowered, and then this happens. I don't know.
I mean, look, you got yourself a heck of a run there, and there was a hole, and it closed while you were coming through it.
It sure did. It sure did. So
but
it
happens.
My fault.
You know what? I don't want to ascribe fault to anybody, and I'm, of course, as you know, I'm biased. Anything that's a buddy of mine, no, it wasn't your fault at all.
That's right.
But
I'm out of here. I'm gonna go get the ambulance and go home.
All right, man. Well, listen, tell Heather we said hello, and have a good rest of your night, brother.
We'll do it, brother. Thanks for talking to me.
Always.
Take care, Dave.
That's the great Tony Burt there from Jack Dowel Motorsports. A rough night for him. And then there were just a few left out here on track. Out of the 35 cars that took the green flag, technically 34, if you consider that Alexander Gangler did not take the green flag initially. 34 cars. We still have 22 on the lead lap, which is a pretty impressive night so far. I mean, nobody really running away with this race. The pack staying pretty well together. We're going to try to get a hold of the driver of the number 9 machine. Oh, got to find somebody we haven't spoken to early, so far this evening. Well, let's see here. Got a few moments. Actually, we're going to talk to Brandon Loomis if we can. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah,
nope.
I got you, buddy.
Oh, there you are. Hey, listen, we see that you're down there on pit road right now. What's going on with the machine? Oh, no, you're not on pit road. Where are you? You put it on the hauler for the night.
Race control came over and said I was having connection issues and not sure what was going on. I wasn't keeping pace really well, and I got into the 11 there on the backstretch, and I think it was partly because he didn't really see me there. He kept kind of coming down on me, and I think it was because I was flickering and everything. So I just best park it and enjoy the race and support my teammates.
Yeah, listen, the team is doing pretty well. I mean, I just saw Chris Custer having a little bit of a rough time there, but we were starting. I did want to talk to you about that decision early on in the race to stay out. When everybody else had come in. How stressful was that? As it seemed like you were driving backwards while everybody else was blowing your doors off.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful, but like I said there in the beginning, I wasn't really keeping up pace, and I just figured hey, try something different and see if I could get out front and maybe try to catch the draft and hang on to it. But my tires were shot, and just trying something. This is my first truck race, and what do I have to lose, right? So, but no, it's a fun time. I love the league, and hopefully we can all start, to progress as a team and get better going forward.
Yeah, I do want to welcome you to the Jack Dowel Motorsports Truck Series here on Sim Racing Media. We do have a lot of fun week in and week out. It's a long season, and here you are coming in week 2, so there's a ton of time left for the rest of the year. I mean, don't be discouraged. These drivers, they're out here to win, and you can learn a lot from them. I was talking to me personally, my Jedi Master here, Bob Nestor, and if there's anything you want to know about driving trucks, you can always reach out to one of these drivers, Bob Nestor, and of course, oh my goodness, I just lost his name. I just drew a complete blank. Driver of the number 9, Jeff Carson. There we go. Jeff, I'm deeply sorry. But they're two really great truck drivers out here. Alex Murray, another skilled driver. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, even if they're not on your team. This is the kind of league where everybody's here to help one another. And you know, even me myself, I mean, I only get a chance to drive in the Cup Series on a Sunday, as you know, we decided to start broadcasting all 3 series, and you know, the Cup Series is just where my heart lives. But you know, this is a great league, so welcome in, and good luck in I guess 2 weeks. I believe we're off next week.
Yeah, I believe we are. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, have a good rest of your night, and go support those teammates up there.
Yep. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time.
We do want to welcome Black Bullet Racing, as they are new to the Truck Series here. Glad to have them with us. And right now, your race leader, Channing Ballou, he's followed by Christopher Hill, Case and Plot, Chris Mathis, Alex Murray, John Crow Sr., Sylvain Jolly, Jeff Carson, Claude Ferdland, and John Bawalda rounding out the top 10. John out here holding off Eugenio Alonso, but Eugenio, his teammate, is, I'll tell you what, one of the greatest teammates there has to be, because Eugenio will push you to a win or pull you to a second place. He's... Oh, wow. That was dangerous, as now things seem to have shaken up a little bit, as now Bawalda up in 8th position. A little bit of a kerfuffle there here on lap 105. And one more time, we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. Hopefully we don't jinx it again and go on back for a caution. So stand by, folks, and we will see you on the other side of the break.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling. With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
17 laps to go here in the Jack Dowel Motorsports Truck Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Christopher M. Hill, your race leader, with Channing Ballou just behind him. Chris Mathis closing in on Ballou, but right now, Mathis having a bumper full of case and plot here in the Lucas Oil Chevrolet Silverado. We can see he's being closely followed by Jeff Carson as they are single file for this 6-car pack, and they have run away from the rest of the field as there's about 2.5 seconds back to Claude Ferdland in the 43 machine running in 7th position. So 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th right here back to Sylvain Jolly in the 08 Accent machine. He's got John Bawalda just in front of him, but this 6-car pack has definitely broken away, if you will. And so far, so good for these drivers, as we've had a pretty good race. I can't say it's a clean race. We've had some wrecks, a couple of spin outs, and of course some connection issues, which is always expected when you're dealing with virtual cars on a virtual racetrack. But these drivers are definitely not virtual whatsoever, as they have been piling through all night long. Now Channing Ballou looking to the inside of Chris Hill. Hill side by side with him. They've got the door handles almost locked up here, running through turn 4 back toward the start-finish line. Folks, I believe that's a little bit of foreshadowing for what we're going to see once the popsicle sticks go in the air, because it's almost like Channing Ballou knows what that truck can do and just wants to make sure that everything is just right. And we might see him just kind of hanging out back here behind the 96 machine now that he knows that he can draft up to him like that, as they will not be coming back in for pit service. Everybody in on lap 87 should be just about there for fuel. And what did I say earlier, folks? Chris Claude, Mr. Consistency, running up here in 13th position. He was back in 20th when we last talked about him, and here he is clawing himself up. I told you he was going to get himself, top 10, top 15 before the end of this piece, even as he's holding off Gabriel Lafreniere, who's got the Oxymore Ford F-150 here. But it looks like he's going to maintain that position, at least for the time being. As temporary as it may seem, he's got quite a run here. He likes that high side, as Chris is a driver who doesn't like that truck too loose, but he certainly doesn't like the truck too tight either. And right now, he looks like he is pretty much neutral on that particular front. But as they go down the backstretch, they're going to be fender to fender. Lafreniere drifting up a little bit here toward Chris, and now Claude having to hold that line. And, folks, just get a look at this. Really take a look at what Chris is doing here. He has not come off that line. He's got those right tires right next to that seam there in the racetrack. He drifts out to the wall, comes back down just below that seam from the high line, and he's been hitting the exact same marks. So maybe a little bit of tire saving there as he's dropped now back to 14th. But yet again, getting a run on Lafreniere, gets the low side. So he hasn't burned that equipment up at all, or just yet, I should say. As now with 10 to go, that's quite a battle for 13th position. Chris Mathis, on the other hand, he's got a windshield or rear view mirror full of case and plot, and case and plotting against him here as he's trying to draft up. Maybe he's trying to test the water a little bit and try to fight his way onto the podium with 10 to go here. Looks like Plot has a truck that, whoa, just a little bit of air comes off the 54. He goes spinning through the grass. He's now sideways on pit road. We're still green flag racing as he didn't do that on the racing surface. Let's take a look back. That's something we don't see every day, being able to catch that live. We'll be able to take a look right here. We're going to see the 8 machine. They never make contact. In fact, we can see that right from the view of the 8. We're going to go right here to the chopper. As we come back, you can see it. They never make contact. Right here, that's all air. And, you know, Jeff Carson was talking about it earlier, that, you know, the draft is so important, and it looks like the rear end of the 54 just got completely lifted up and turned him sideways there. Now we do see Chris bringing it down pit road, while the other Chris, Christopher Hill, still leads this race with 7 to go. Chris Mathis down on pit road. That's a pretty rough way here. That's going to shuffle things around. Jeff Carson, all of a sudden, we were just talking about him with this aero package in the truck. He's getting a heck of a push now from Case and Plot. And listen, if there's anybody that can hold a driver off and make this Toyota Tundra 4 wide, it's Jeff Carson. Jeff Carson going to be holding off Case and Plot here as we've now got 6 to go. So a couple of battles here. This is all of a sudden coming together. Folks, I'm not sure if you're just tuning in, but you know what? You might as well have tuned in at the right time. As right now it looks like Jeff Carson trying to hold off Plot, and Plot is back there just doing his darndest and getting a little loose coming out of 4. That allows Jeff to get a run off of 4, as that did take some of the momentum away from Plot. Now Carson starting to run away with about a half second. Right now Plot's going to need some help from John Crow Sr. John Crow Sr. not even willing to give him some help. He makes a run on the outside out of 2. And now Plot having to just tuck in behind the 95 of John Crow Sr. So it goes Hill, Ballou, Carson, Crow. And Jeff Carson looking like he's going to try to bring home a podium finish for the Joe Gibbs Racing Team. Meanwhile, Christopher Hill starting to open up a gap between himself and Channing Ballou. Now, Ballou back there was just testing the waters to see if he could maybe draft up to the rear of Christopher Hill. And unfortunately, if these drivers get too separated, nothing good is going to come of that for Channing Ballou. And all of a sudden, it's almost like there's equal time between these drivers. About a half second from Hill back to Ballou, and about another half second. There's about 1 3/4 seconds from Ballou to Carson, and then a half second back to Crow. So all things being equal, with 3 to go here, looks like this is Christopher Hill's race to lose, if you will, as he is leading this piece down the backstretch. Folks in the stands grabbing their popsicle sticks. As, wow, he has this truck just dialed in right now, and he is going to be hitting these marks. As he gets ready to cross the start-finish line, the popsicle sticks go in the air, and we're racing back to the white flag. If anything happens right now, that would force NASCAR overtime and probably cause an aneurysm of any one of these drivers here atop the pile. Because if you're in this kind of a position right now, the last thing you want to see is that caution flag to fly, because you have a pretty comfortable position on the racetrack. We're going to keep an eye on it. Just as Christopher Hill going to be bringing it through turn 4. Yet again, just as he crosses the start-finish line, the white flag waves, and we're racing back to checkers. Christopher Hill, Channing Ballou, and Jeff Carson. This is their race for the podium. John Crow Sr. looking like he's going to try to make a run at Carson, but you know what? Knowing Jeff Carson, I don't think John Crow's got it tonight, as Carson has kept this truck nice and clean. He's got this thing dialed in, the Micro Center number 9 Toyota Tundra. He's getting ready to bring it home, and just as we say bringing it home, we see Christopher Hill crossing the start-finish line and winning the Jack Dowel Motorsports Simulator eSports iRacing Truck Series event here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He's followed by Channing Ballou and Jeff Carson on the podium, with John Crow Sr. and Kason Plott rounding out your top 5. Eugenio Alonso, Claude Ferdland, Sylvain Jolly, John Bawalda, and John Wilco. They round out your top 10. Your biggest mover of the race tonight, John Bawalda, up 25 positions to get that top 10 finish here in the 51 Chevrolet Silverado. So we're going to see, I'm expecting to see Christopher Hill get ready to burn this thing down just as he and Channing Ballou reapproach the start-finish line. And now it's time to celebrate. And now that he's finally, you just heard that engine blow up there on the number 96 Toyota Tundra of Chris Hill. Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
I gotcha.
Well, it looks like you literally drove the wheels off of it and decided to blow the motor here at the very end. But what a win you had tonight here, as you actually ran your fastest segment 1 speed here on the last lap. 46.65 altogether tonight. So you definitely led everything faster than fast. Chris, congratulations here.
Thank you. It was a heck of a race. We knew after the first 2 stages went, we knew clean air was pretty important. Channing had a good truck, so the first stage he kind of pushed me around, tested out dirty air. Second stage I pushed him around, tested out dirty air. So third stage we started racing a lot earlier, and just the way the model worked out, the way the drafting all played out, we got ahead, when the tires started, wearing out to the point you had to lift, and at that point, it was just really just making sure he couldn't get clean air to his truck, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about when those tires start to wear in, I mean, I guess it's probably understated sometimes, but anybody can drive a truck with fresh tires on it. Anybody can drive a truck that's nice and clean. I mean, even you've got it almost looks like a Darlington stripe on the left side there here on the 96. I mean, what did you find to be the most important factor here tonight?
I guess so. The middle, obviously, is not good for your right rear. It kind of heats up the right rear more than if you just ran the bottom. So it was kind of picking and choosing where you could run. So anytime that you weren't having to defend a run in the draft, you would always want to run bottom, take care of the tires. But I mean, inevitably, like down the straightaways, draft is a big thing. So you could always set up big runs by running the middle. So just kind of picking and choosing, being patient on when you chose what line to run, and I'd say that was probably the most important thing, because you had to set up passes. You weren't just going to be able to just send it under somebody and without killing your tires in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you put it very well. Some of these racetracks that we come to is like a cheese grater. Now, Vegas isn't exactly like that. You had a pretty cool track tonight. So, the track itself wasn't taking a whole lot of rubber since it was cool. Were you slipping and sliding at all, or did you just have decent grip?
So the first 2 stages, we never really went long enough to feel lack of grip. I mean, I was full throttle at the end of both stages. But there at that last run, I think we finally went long enough for the rear tires to start giving out. Where we're on throttle so much in Vegas, the rear tires are what takes the majority of the punishment. So I'd say after 35ish, when the rear tires finally start giving out, that's when you start to feel loose.
Absolutely, man. And listen, that loose feeling. I mean, some people are like, "Hey, listen, you gotta drive on the edge. You gotta drive on the edge." Me personally, I'm terrified. No, I'm good. And I mean, here you are in your debut race in the Jack Dowel Motorsports Truck Series, and before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank for this run tonight?
I got to thank Channing for racing me clean there all race. Got to thank the sponsors, Logitech, G-Altus, Logitech, Cube Controls, VRS, everybody on Altus for all the setup work every week. And thanks to you guys put on the broadcast.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations. We'll see you in a couple of weeks as we've got another off week on the schedule right now. But, here's the thing. We're excited to have you here, and especially here in your debut race, be pulling off something like this. So as we get ready to head into Atlanta, we wish you luck, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
Thank you. See you there.
That was Christopher Hill, and glad to have him with us. But right now, we want to pull up Mr. Channing Ballou, and as we get him dialed up here, Channing Ballou, Dave Regal up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Dave.
Hey, man, listen, first and foremost, am I pronouncing your last name right, Ballou?
Yes, sir.
Ah, fantastic. I'm always taking a gamble here. Pensacola is easy. Ballou is the one that scared me. But listen, congratulations on the podium finish tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is your debut race in the Truck Series?
We raced at Daytona and got wrecked early, but we still came away 14th. But I guess you could say debut on the broadcast, maybe. I don't think it was last week broadcasted.
No, last week we were actually off. But okay, so then we'll say your debut season here in the Truck Series. And listen, you ran a great race tonight. I thought you were kind of trying to toy with the 96 at the end. With about 10 to go, I saw you drafting up behind him and getting close. And were you checking to see if you could get around him and maybe you just cooked your tires a little bit too much?
No, my tires were fine. It really didn't come down to tires for me at the end. It was just Chris did a great job. Chris is a really good driver, and he got clean air when needed, and clean air is king here after the tires wear off. So all in all, we had a really great race. Good first two stages. I mean, me and Chris worked together really well in the draft and stayed clean, and that was the main goal, was just to keep a clean truck all night. We knew we had really good speed, and we just had to manage it, and it worked out pretty well. Could have been a little bit better, but hey, we can't complain about second.
No, I mean, especially when it's early on in the season, you definitely help your playoff stock, if you will. I mean, it's a long season, several weeks here. In fact, let me just check here to make sure I'm not completely losing my mind, but it's a 23 race season. I mean, that's a long time. We're going to be racing together up until November. So to be able to raise yourself this high up in the standings early on in the season, what does that mean for you as we look forward to Atlanta in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a good start. There's a couple good racetracks that are coming up, and then there's also a couple that I'm not so good at. But we got to try to take advantage of all these tracks that we feel comfortable at. Atlanta in 2 weeks is going to be a mini Daytona, and I mean tonight was almost a mini Daytona. We were wide open for a long period of time and running side by side and playing the draft, and it's just kind of what this package is with the trucks right now. I mean, it's okay. I'm not going to complain when we're pretty decent at it and have good speed. I mean, I don't really want a whole lot of change, but if anything, we could sure use about 50 to 100 more horsepower, maybe induce some lifting earlier in runs. I mean, we weren't really lifting until lap 35 of a run or 40 of a run, and there's only 5 laps left of fuel at that point. So, yeah, I mean, it's setting up good. 14th wasn't a great finish early, but we'll take second here and try to build on that. I mean, it can only go up from here, and we only got one spot to gain, and we'll be sitting pretty good.
Yeah, man, listen, you're absolutely going to be sitting pretty good. So before we cut you loose here, who do you need to thank for this run here in your first season in the JDM Truck Series?
Yeah, man, I got to thank everybody over at ReaperSpeedLab.com. The setup tonight was about as good as it could be. I don't really know if it could have been any better. I mean, I was running matching lap times with Chris, and I know that Altus has got a really good program over there. So for Reaper Speed Lab being right there with them guys is a pretty big deal. And I also got to thank Kale Gale Performance. He builds shocks for really any sort of short track vehicle. Also want to thank Higgy's House of Power. They build motors for flat carts on dirt. Check them out. They great product. Ran them a lot when I was growing up. Got to thank everybody over at Speed Clinic. We had a really good run going until I guess Jeremy got wrecked on the backstretch, and Chris spun coming off of 4. And I mean, Kaysen finished 5th. We'd like to see him get up a little bit closer to the front. He's a talented guy, and he'll be there. We plan to be up here. We plan to stay here, and we plan to make the playoffs and make a deep championship run.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations on the podium finish tonight, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks there at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Of course, that's Channing Ballou, just finished second here on the podium, but the guy that I'm most anxious to talk to tonight, because, listen, I know that a broadcaster isn't supposed to be biased, but when I get to see my Cup Series teammate here on the podium, it makes me just a little extra happy as Cross Junction, Virginia's very own Jeff Carson finishing 3rd place tonight. Jeff, it's Dave. You got a copy?
I got you, bud.
Hey, man, listen, great run here at the end. I mean, you were creeping around and you were kind of lurking, and all of a sudden you find yourself on the podium.
Yeah, well, a lot of people I think were pushing a little too hard and got loose at the end. And my goal was to save a little bit of tire and finish in the top 5. I'll take P3 over it.
Yeah, P3 is probably better than P34. So, I definitely say that you got yourself where you need to be, especially here in the Truck Series. I mean, you had talked earlier about the draft being so important, and I mean, at the very end, you just had nobody to draft with. There was nobody around you.
Yeah, and that's true. I couldn't. Those 2 leaders up front just pulled away as I was getting by the 8 and John Crow there, and the side draft just bogs you down, and the leader just drove away.
Yeah, and I mean, here you are, a seasoned veteran in the SNN family of racing series here on Sim Racing Media, and you're up there doing battle with some relatively new faces here in the Truck Series. So, looking forward, what are you expecting to see out of these other drivers? I mean, are you going to have to crank it up another notch? I know that usually our team orders are usually stay alive and we'll see you at the end, but it looks like you're going to have to crank it up some.
Yeah, with these new guys, with a lot talent coming in here, I think the top 2 guys were 6K iRating guys, so finishing behind them, definitely going to have to step it up a couple notches and work on the setups and try to be more competitive.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Well, hey, listen, before I cut you loose here, of course, I need to ask you, who do you need to thank for this run tonight here at Las Vegas?
Well, I thank my sponsors, Micro Center, Watson Racing Setups, Pepsi, and you guys up there at the booth broadcasting. You guys always put on a good show. And all my teammates in the Truck Series, Bob, Chris, you, Lauren, and whoever else is on our team.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hodgepodge, especially when we get down to Tuesday night.
Yes, it is.
But all right, man. Well, listen, congratulations on the podium finish. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Well, I mean, of course, I'll see you Sunday night, but we'll see you here on the Truck Series in a couple of weeks.
All right, man. I'll see you then.
All right. Well, congratulations once again to Jeff Carson and all of our podium finishers, Christopher Hill, Channing Ballou, and Jeff Carson. And folks, we can't understate, or we can't overstate, I should say, some of the importance to practicing and tuning and things like that in the trucks in any of these vehicles on iRacing.com, because there's a lot of work that goes into this. Some people might discount us in sim racing. Oh, well, it's just a virtual car, it's just a virtual track. But these drivers are putting in hours and hours of practice every week. And, I did just touch on it there with Jeff, but right here in the lower corner here, remember that Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern, right here on Sim Racing Media, you'll see the SNN Cup Series, the Ruoff Mortgage 500 at Phoenix Raceway down there in Arizona. So make sure that you tune in there and you can hang out with Tony Trapasso and Matt Metler. there on Sunday nights. And before we get out of here, we also want to touch on the final results here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, round 2 of the Truck Series. Mr. Christopher Bell bringing home the checkered, Christopher Bell, different driver, different series, different life. But Christopher Hill bringing home the checkered flag tonight. He captures the flag just ahead of Channing Ballou and Jeff Carson on the podium. Jeff Carson followed by John Crow Sr. and Kaysen Plott to round out your top 5. Your top 10 is made up of Eugenio Alonso from Buenos Aires in the 86 F-150, Claude Ferdinand and Sylvain Jolly in 7th and 8th from our neighbors to the north, John Bawalda III running in 9th, and John Wilco here in 10th. John's brother, of course, if you didn't know, John Wilco's brother is Roger Wilco. Just kidding. Anyway, finishing in 11th, Chris Claude. I told you, folks, I told you from the beginning when he was back in 20th position, he's the kind of driver that's going to be out here at the end. Nearly cracked into the top 10 of this race. He's still got top 15, but Chris Claude, Mr. Consistency, finishing in 11th position. Stoney Benfield finishing in 12th with Jeff O'Rourke and Chris Custer in 13th and 14th. David Swift, Jacob Sala, Brian Tarnowski, Bob Nestor, Gabriel Lafreniere, again a neighbor from the north, and Mark Brewster rounding out your top 20. And, you know, these drivers, like I said before, they're out here to put on a show, and they do every week. Just like Ed Connolly and Lauren Jones, Lauren having a rough night tonight, as well as Chris Mathis and Alexander Gangler, who got into this race late. But Gangler coming in late, being so many laps down, fortunately there were a lot of cautions that came out and helped him crawl all the way up into 24th position. So up 11 positions thanks to a couple of mishaps on the racetrack from other drivers, including Alex Murray, who it looks like the 40 truck was killed. He let me know here in Discord. I'm sorry I missed your message, but maybe next time I got to pay a little bit closer attention to the Discord chat. But Alex Murray finishing in 25th position with Matt Mackin and our buddy Tony Burt finishing in 27th. Dan Morgan, Aaron Mack, and Rich Jett round out the top 30. Then Jeremy Paris, Tyler Connolly, Brandon Loomis, Brandon Minto, and finishing last but certainly not least, Mr. Matt White finishing in 35th. And, you know, that's not something that I say too often, and it's certainly not something that I say very lightly, as Matt White just having some bad luck here in Vegas, as many people do. I mean, you know, you can't help but sometimes you roll the dice and you crap out, and other times you pull that one-arm bandit and hit the jackpot. And tonight's jackpot winner going to be Christopher Hill here once again, and cannot be more thankful for you folks who have stayed with us here from the green flag to the checkered flag. I mean, you know, this truck series is something special here on iRacing. This league is something special here on iRacing, and I am absolutely privileged and glad that you made us a part of your evening. And before we go, I want to remind you, tomorrow as you go through the day, make sure that you find that good moment, that one good thing, and you take that happy thought and you hold on to it. Because with a happy thought, you can fly. Good night, everybody.